Hello, good evening to the 100-Fold Journey. This is our Wednesday night, 6:30 live video conference where we're going through and meeting the individual leaders of the 100-Fold Journey. So if you remember, I went last week. My name is Doug. So again, welcome. And tonight we have Katie. So Katie, I've asked you to join tonight so that you can kind of share your backstory and your history as to how you've journeyed, have you gotten on this journey of 100-fold. So with that said, I'll hand the mic over to you, and if we have questions, we'll jump in, but for the most part, this is all you. So looking forward to hearing from you.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug. So my journey with religion and everything started when I was young. I was raised Catholic, and I'm trying to make this bigger. Okay. I was raised Catholic and I hated it. I hated going to church. I hated the way the church looked. I felt it was so depressing. The stained glass, the pictures on there that were depicted, I really felt disconnected from that place. And I associated God with that place. At a very young age, I really didn't like the concept of having to confess your sins to another fellow human and they would determine your punishment. I really felt that that was a poor reflection of God. I felt that I knew God, but then I didn't know God. When I was younger, I always looked up at the sky. And when I started to disconnect myself from the church, I started to look down at the ground. And when I started looking down, everywhere I went, I would find like little rocks and pebbles everywhere, and I would start collecting them. And every day I would come home with pockets full of rocks, and I would just hand them out to people. When I was 8 years old, I started my first business, and I used to collect rocks in my yard and paint them, and I would sell them. So instead of like a lemonade stand, I would have a rock painting stand. I grew up moving around a lot. I've probably moved around 23 times in my life, East Coast, West Coast. And after high school, I started working for my dad, and I was a bookkeeper, admin, and that was a very soul-crushing job. I commuted 2 hours every single day to and from work, and it was just soul-crushing. I felt I had no purpose. I felt I was doing the same thing day in and day out. And after 5 years of working, I told my dad I couldn't do it anymore. So he understood and he laid me off. So while I was trying to find out who I was, I started to do yoga to fill time during the day. And I really started to enjoy it. And then I started teaching my sister yoga, and then I started teaching my mom yoga, and then I started teaching my friends yoga. And my mom's like, why don't you just get certified and become a yoga teacher? And I really liked it. I graduated with high honors, and that really started my path onto an alternate way of looking at healing. I started looking at natural ways of medicine. I got really deep into meditation, and then I discovered crystals. Now, I've always been around rocks and stuff, but actually starting to learn about crystals was a new thing for me. One of the things I learned about crystals is that they're like a USB stick. So I have one right here. This is green aventurine. And how crystals work is they all hold a frequency, and you can download information on these like a USB stick. And the way that they vibrate throughout the universe, they can hold information better than other crystals. So I started meditating with crystals and putting my intention into them, and then I would carry them with me throughout the day. And I started to notice how powerful my manifestation was. But I was not manifesting the right things. I wasn't using my manifestation power for the right things. I would be shallow and think I would want things, and then I would get them, and I would no idea what to do with them. It wasn't until I really started to get into spirituality where I started to feel a little bit more connected, but I felt it was a aimless, unidentified source. I felt that it was just supposed to be like this big thing that everyone knew about, but no one really knew what it was. After I graduated, I started teaching private yoga, and I loved that. I loved getting to know people, their individual wants and needs, and I thrived. And then I got pregnant, and my doctor told me to stop teaching yoga. And during that time, I was doing about 20 classes a week. And I was kind of bummed that I couldn't teach yoga anymore because they told me that it was too much for me being pregnant. I'm not really sure. So that just kind of killed my passion. And then I gave birth to my son, and my birth didn't go like I planned or wanted or thought it could ever go. And they told me that I was going to die, and I accepted it. And I had made peace with it. And then I didn't. And that kind of felt weird, thinking one thing that is going to happen and then another thing happens. And I should have been grateful at that time that I survived, but I felt I was slighted. I was handed this child that I had no idea who it was. I was given a role as a mother, and I had no idea what to do. And I didn't come to terms with the way that I had given birth. And I had slipped into postpartum depression really bad. I had severe PTSD from it, and they wanted to put me on all these pills, and that's just not how I had taught myself how to heal.
So Katie, what was it about the birth that was thought to take your life?
My body was shutting down in order to keep my son alive. So they told me that I was going to not make it, and possibly my child wasn't going to make it, and that they were going to try to do the best that they could. But I focused on the not making it part, which is the wrong part to have focused on. Um, I it was really hard for a couple of years after having my son. It was hard for me to just get off the couch and just face the day. And then I would notice little things surrounding him. I would notice the way he was protected by something other than myself. I noticed how just being a child was really interesting, and it really just like struck me as very magical. After a few years, I was really lonely. Being a stay-at-home mom is one of the loneliest things that I could have ever experienced. And so I decided to go on Facebook and join a mom's group, which was kind of scary for me because I'd been alone for so long, and then meeting people on the internet was not my cup of tea. And so I started to host play dates at my house. I felt that I could be in better control of those situations if it was at my house. And one day this girl came and we clicked, and it was my best friend Rashi. And our kids were the same age, and we liked the same things, and our lives were very similar. And so we kind of just adopted each other and became sisters. What else? So after I started to find myself more, I decided that I wanted a job because I didn't feel fulfilled just by being a stay-at-home mom. And I should have been grateful at the time. I wasn't looking at it like that. I felt that there was an outside source that I should have been looking at instead of inside myself. So I had a few jobs, but nothing really clicked. And then one day, a mutual friend asked me if I had free time to look after her shop. So I looked after the shop one day while she went and ran errands, and I fell in love with it, and it was a crystal shop. And I started to teach classes there, yoga, meditation, workshops, and I learned about crystals even more, and that just spiked my passion and the powers that they had and everything and how it was all connected. But I still felt that this source that I was trying to connect with was nameless, and I wanted to give it a name. Then one day I was talking to a customer. Sorry, you guys can hear my notes. I was talking to a customer about crystals, and she's like, "Oh, do you know crystals are in the Bible?" And I was like, "No way, get out of here." And she's like, "No, they really are." And I was like, "Wow, I do not know the Bible as well as I thought I did." So I I kept that in the back of my mind because I didn't act on it right away, but it was a little mental note that I took. And then COVID happened, and that just spiked my anxiety. Every day was unsure. I was scared. I had extreme anxiety, and I felt every day that I was begging God for something to happen, to change for the better, to get rid of the situation. And it didn't. So I started watching the presidential daily briefings. And I don't know if you guys ever watched those, but I was really into them. Every single day, President Trump would come on and he would go over everything. And it made me feel a little better. So one day he said he was going to be at a church service. And I was very curious about that. I was like, what? A president talking about church service? Like, that was really foreign to me. And I attended it online and I was blown away. I loved the messages that they said. I loved that everyone was singing, because the singing that I was brought up with Catholic Church was very dark and sad. So to hear Christian music with upbeat and guitars was just like very happy, and it felt very light and airy. So during that time, they said to set your alarm every single day at 7:14 to pray for the country, to pray for your life, just to pray for everything. So every night I would go out and I would pray at 7:14, and I really had no idea what I was doing. I felt I was praying wrong. I was begging. And one day I said, I wish there was a book to guide me through life. And I just kind of just sat with that for a few minutes, and I opened my eyes and 3 white doves circled around me 3 times. And I was like, that's kind of weird. And I was like, no, that can't be anything. And then my mind was just like, no, that's something. You should look it up. And I looked up what 3 white doves meant, and it stood for the Holy Trinity. And I was like, oh, snap, a Bible reference? That can't be right. So I decided I wanted to learn about the Bible more. So I turned to Google and I started to look up churches in my area. And I didn't want a Catholic church. I've already went down that route. And then I came across Southwinds, and I sent them a message and I asked them to join a group. And then I was connected with Doug. And at first I was so scared and nervous. I was like, what am I doing? This is stupid. I feel dumb. Like, I don't want to do this. Like, believing in God is not cool. No one talks about that stuff. And from the first Zoom meeting that Doug and I had, I was like, okay, I belong here. I felt such a calmness over my heart that like things were starting to click into place. And then I learned that the divine source had a name. And learning about God the way that I was taught with Doug, it was like I was trying to remember a friend's name for years and I couldn't think of the person's name. And then all of a sudden one day it just clicked, and it was God, it was Jesus. And everything, once I made that connection in my life, everything started to snowball in such a positive way. Um, sorry, there was a road trip that I took in August. And so we had been talking about the Bible and the group, and things were just becoming amazing. And I really liked the groups that I was part of. And one night I was in Ohio, and we were pulled over for the night, and Doug asked to call. And so we did a conference call with Doug and another member, Rich, who's also part of the leadership. And they asked me to be a part of 100Fold. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll help whatever I can. Like, if you need like graphics or website design. And they're like, no, we want you involved. And that was the first time in my life that when I was asked to be part of something, it was because they wanted me. I felt like I had a place. I was always in a position to help others get a step up in their life. And that's what I was used to. And it was the first time I felt like I had a place that people really wanted to listen to what I had to say. So I just started to let go of anxiety, letting go of expectations. And I realized that there is no comfort in growth, and life is all about growth. And I started to learn the tools to process the uncomfortableness. It was a great natural way to heal the growing pains of life. And that is where I'm at right now, just trying to teach others the tools in a natural way to help deal with life. So that is it. That's my story. Any questions, I will be happy to take. And thanks. Okay. Doug,
Yeah,
you
so
have
we have
anything?
we have a couple of people that have joined. So if you'd like to jump in, but I'd like to ask a question, Katie. How would
For
you
sure.
define the hundredfold? What is your definition of a hundredfold?
My definition of a hundredfold is a tool. It is a tool that I've added to my tool belt of dealing with everyday life. Life is not easy. Life is never going to be easy. But how I view it and how I accept it is completely up to me. There's always going to be battles and people that you encounter, and having God right there and knowing that he's right here and not up here, not separated, not having any conditions, is a peaceful feeling. And that is what I hope to spread to people, is that they're not alone. They don't ever have to feel alone. They don't have to feel empty and hollow inside, that there's always going to be someone there, no matter what.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was good.
Thanks.
All right. Who else would like to ask Katie a question?
Hi, Katie. It's Rashi.
Hi, Rashi.
Hi, Doug.
Hello, Rashi.
Katie, you did amazing
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
tonight. Okay, I just wanted to ask, so we did the gratitude days. Are there any out of the gratitude days that are your favorite, or is there something in particular that you feel that you're grateful for more than other things?
Well, what really, with the gratitude that we've really implemented, that I really enjoy, and it's such a small little thing, and it's something that I used to do as a kid, and we really started doing it now, is just praying before a meal and just being grateful for that food, putting love into the food. And I really feel that that change has changed the way my body has processed that food. I'm not looking at it as I'm eating because I'm bored or there's nothing else to do or I'm stressed. I'm looking at it as this is going to nurture my body, my mind, my soul. And that little act has really shifted my mindset on how I look at just a simple thing like eating.
I love that.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
How about on the the identity? Is there a particular one that speaks to you?
I really like, it's the fact that we say that, and it's something that you have always said in the beginning, and it's we're his bride, and we have everything that we need, and just to overflow with gratefulness and to give thanks. And that is a really nice picture mentally to view that you're Jesus's bride, because if you view yourself like that, there's nothing that you can't get. There's nothing that you can't receive in your life or give to others. That's it.
Yeah, that's good. That is one of my favorite ones, even though I'm a dude, you know, thinking that I'm a bride, and especially the picture with the white gown and
Mhm.
and the confidence that that picture exudes, and that's the way we should view ourselves.
Right. And to view it, and I really loved the term of not viewing this as a religion, because religion implies barriers and steps and conditions, and to view it as a relationship made me feel that it's something that I have to constantly work on every single day. I'm working on my relationships every single day, so why wouldn't my relationship with Jesus be one of them? It's not something that I'm like, okay, I've accepted Jesus, or yeah, I like God, and then I just go about my day and forget that that's even a part of my life. It's something that is active, because if I don't practice using those tools, I'm going to forget how to use them. So in moments of time comes, I'm going to be begging and pleading and go back to that anxious, panicky state.
Yeah, that's really good, Katie, because religion teaches us to check the boxes.
Right.
Yes, I went to church. I'm good. Yes, I prayed. I'm good. I read my Bible this morning. I'm good. So you
Right.
check the boxes, but then you don't feel fulfilled. You
Mhm.
still feel that emptiness. Whereas a
Right.
relationship, completely different story, right?
Exactly.
Katie, I love what you said about relationships, and I love what you said about Jesus, and when you talked about the hundredfold, defining the hundredfold as a tool, and that it will bring you a lot of healing. I wanted to ask, through your journey so far, what have you learned? What have you learned that Jesus is? Because there are people out there who are weary and kind of like afraid of that name or word, or just like religion in general. So,
I think, I believe that Jesus is love. That is what I've learned. Jesus is not a symbol. It is not a face, even though there are lots of pictures out there depicting what a certain face is. It is an energy. It is love. And that has changed how I view everything. I realize that nothing is random. Everything happens for a reason. There is a bigger picture, and I've stopped trying to control how the picture is drawn. It's not up to me. I'm not the artist. I am just relaxing in a painting, enjoying life, and letting go of that control. I just feel free. Like, I don't have to worry about anything because I know that God has it all. I'm not put on this like earth to suffer. That's not what he made humans for. It's to rest and relax and just enjoy life. Like, we have put all of these pressures on us. Society has put all of these pressures on us and these expectations, and we've agreed to them. We've agreed to these awful things that we have to do every single day. And you don't have to. You don't have to do those things. You can just be. You can just enjoy life to the fullest and not look at it as, okay, one day I'm going to retire and then one day I'm going to die. Because life is so much more beautiful than that.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That was awesome.
Thanks.
And I think that's where the hundredfold is, right? We're pointing you, we're showing you the way to that, and that
Right.
it is a journey. And we
Mhm.
want to come alongside people and say, this is what we have found, and come join us.
Right. Because when we have a full cup, it's going to overflow.
There you go.
Yep.
And Rashi, I know you know Michael, and Michael is actually on the line as well. So Michael, do you have any questions for Katie?
Hi, Michael. Good evening.
Rashi, what's up, girl? How are you?
Good, good.
Sorry, girl. That's weird. We're friends. It's fine. People don't be weird. No, I don't know. I mean, I didn't know what to expect. It was enlightening. See what I did there? As far as like getting information to see what you guys are about. It's nice to hear as an outsider who is not of a religious background and who really
Right.
wasn't brought about of faith. Just to hear the outlook on it, especially coming from, so I have I have like a science background. So it's interesting to be able to hear this and be able to take it like, you know, it makes sense. It makes sense. I'm not going to downplay it by any stretch of the imagination. I'm spiritual. But it's nice to hear. And congratulations, Katie, on your journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Very
We're
nice.
so glad you're here. I'm so glad you made it.
Yeah, I
Thank you
didn't
for
think so.
joining.
You know, I
Aw.
cut my gym session short. So
You did?
I did.
Oh, well, we're
I totally
so
did. I was
grateful
hammering
for
out
that.
squats. I was hammering out squats, and then I was like, "Oh my goodness, I got to go get on this." And you know,
Oh,
because if you
wow.
don't take yourself seriously, or if you don't
Right.
take yourself and your health seriously, or your spirituality seriously, then I don't know. Me personally, you're doing things gravely mistaken.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yes.
that's very true, Michael. And that is part of the hundredfold as well, right? Is taking life seriously, especially our thoughts, because our thoughts are, you know, we got to build
Become
that
your
muscle.
actions, and then your actions are you, and then it's, you know, we know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's bad.
So we got to build our muscle, which is our brain, which is more powerful than anything. So Katie, I think that will conclude our time. So wanted to
Awesome.
say thank you to you for putting this together and your amazing
Yeah, thank you.
journey.
Thank you.
And thank you for those that joined online. And just for a reference, we will be here next week, next Wednesday, and we'll be introducing actually Rashi, who's on the line. She is also part of the leadership team. So she'll be sharing her story next week. And for those that showed up late, we do have this recorded and it will be uploaded later for you to watch again. And with that, thank you very much. And
Bye
Awesome.
for now.
bye for now.
Bye for now.